Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about T-beams. First, we need to see what is a flanged beam. When a reinforced concrete floor and its supporting beam are built monolithically as one piece, these beams can be considered as flanged beams. These are considered only as the flanged beams when they are between the supports. In this case, the bending moment will be negative and the slabs will be on the compression side of the beam. But over the supports, the bending moments will be negative. So in this case, the slabs will be in tension side and the beam will act only as a rectangular beam. We can see them one by one later. These two are the T-beams and these two are the L-beams. In this lecture, we are going to only see about the T-beams. Let us take a cross-section of a T-beam. This portion is called as flange and this portion is called as web. Let us keep BF as the breadth of the flange, DF as the depth of the flange, BW as the breadth of the web. Small d is the effective depth and d is the overall depth of the beam. Now let us see the first condition. When the neutral axis lies in the flange, if the neutral axis lies in the flange, the depth of the neutral axis will be less than the depth of the flange. For the singly reinforced beams, I have explained the stress block diagrams. The link is in the description. You can click that and watch. In that video, I have explained how to get the compressive force and how to get the tensile force. In this condition, we have to follow the same procedure as we did for the singly reinforced beams. There is only one change. Previously, instead of BF, it was B, but here we are using BF, which is the width of the flange. Z is the lever arm. This also we have found. We know that the compressive force should be equal to the tensile force. We can equate both of them. In this way, we will get the depth of the neutral axis XU. The moment of resistance will be TZ or CZ. T is this one and Z is this one. Also, we can take alternatively C is this one and Z is this one. So in these two ways, we can find the moment of resistance. In this expression, instead of XU, we can apply this. In this way, we will get this equation. This one I have already explained in the previous derivation. You can click the link and watch the video. The same equation is available in the IS 456 codebook, page number 96. There is only one change. Instead of B, here it should be BF. Now let us see the second condition. When the neutral axis lies outside the flange, in this case the depth of the neutral axis XU will be greater than depth of the flange. This condition has two subdivisions. dF upon d is not greater than 0.2 and dF upon d is greater than 0.2. Let us see why we have to take these two subdivisions. From the previous derivation, we know that this is the strain block diagram and this is the stress block diagram. In the stress diagram, you can see that up to here we have straight line and from this point we have curve. In this point, the strain will be 0.002. Let us keep this height as h. We can take this triangle. Using the similar triangle rule, we can form this expression. Using a calculator, for this we will get 4 upon 7. After simplifying, for h we will get 3 upon 7 xu. In limiting cases, xu will be equal to xu max. In the previous video, for xu max upon d, we have calculated these three for the particular steel grades. To find xu max, we have to take d on the other side, so it will come in the numerator. In limiting cases, h will be 3 upon 7 into XU max. For the different grades, we can apply XU max values. You can see that all three of them are approximately equal to 0.2D. So H is approximately equal to 0.2D. We can take D on the other side. So H upon D will be approximately equal to zero point 0.2. When H reaches the depth of the flange df, H will be equal to df. So instead of H, we can apply df. So df upon d will be 0.2 when the strain is 0.002. Now we have got the idea why we have to follow these two subdivisions. First, let us take this condition df upon d is not greater than zero point 0.2. In this case, we have to take the web as the beam. For the web, it is the stress block diagram. For these two rectangles, this is the stress block diagram. For both of them, this dimension is 0.45 FCK. Since there are two stress block diagrams, let us denote the compression forces as C1 and C2. C1 we already know, but there is one difference. In the previous step, we took the breadth of the flange, but now we are taking the breadth of the web. This is the only difference, because here we are considering the web as the beam. Now let us take this block diagram. Here the depth is df and the width is 0.45 fck. Let us see how to find C2. The formula to find the compressive force is width into area of the stress diagram. We need this width, that will be BF minus BW. Area of the stress block diagram will be 0.45 FCK into DF. Then we can arrange this like this. The formula to find the moment of resistance is compressive force into lever arm, but here there are two parts. So the formula will be C1Z1 plus C2Z2, C1 into Z1 plus C2 into Z2. With this term, we can multiply d square upon d square. We know that d square will be d into d. 1d we can keep upon xu. This one we can keep inside this bracket. D upon d it will be 1. And here it will be 0.42 xu upon d. Then we can rearrange this equation like this. The same equation you can find from the IS 456 code book, page number 96. There is one difference. Here we have XU max, but in this one we have XU. In some cases we have to use XU, and in some cases we have to use XU max. We can see that very clearly in the problems. Now let us take the second subdivision. When df upon d is greater than zero point 0.2, in this case for the moment of resistance, we have to use this formula. Here there is one change. In this term, instead of df, we have to use yf. Yf is 0.15 xu plus 0.65 df. This is based on Whitney's block. Let us see how to get that. Yf will be equal to AXU plus BDF. Here we need to find A and B. Using Whitney's blocks, we can find them. When DF is 0.43 XU, YF also will be 0.43 XU. When DF will be XU, YF will be 0.8 XU. This is based on assumption. In this one, we can apply these two so that we will get this equation. And again, in this equation, we can apply these two so that we will get this equation. We can solve these two equations. In this way, we will get A and B. We can apply both of them in this one so that we will get this one. Same equation can be found from the IS 456 codebook, page number 97. But there is one more subdivision when df upon xu does not exceed 0.43 and when that exceeds 0.43. Initially, we have made this relation. Let us assume that h reaches df. So we can write df is equal to 3 upon 7 xu. Then df upon xu will be 3 by 7. That one we can approximately take 0.43. When df upon xu does not exceed 0.43, we need to use the equation given in G22. So this is the one. When it exceeds 0.43, we need to use the equation in G221. So this is the equation. In both of the cases, we have to substitute xu max by xu. So here it will be xu and here it will be xu. Now let us see how to find the area of the tension reinforcement for the different cases. When the neutral axis lies in the flange, using this equation we can find the area. Instead of B, here it should be BF. Now let us see the second case. When the neutral axis lies outside the flange and there are these two conditions, we can equate the compressive force with the tension force. Initially, we have found C1 and C2. For this case, T1 will be 0.87 FI because it is for the web, and T2 will be 0.87 FI because it is for the flange. Equating these two, we will get ASTW, and then equating these two, we will get ASTF. To find the total area, we need to add these two so that we will get this. Now let us see the third case when the neutral axis lies outside the flange and there are these two conditions. ASTW will be same as we saw in the previous case. In C2, instead of DF, there will be YF. So in the area also, there will be YF instead of DF. The other terms are same. And we know that YF is 0.15 XU plus 0.65 DF. When we add these two, we will get the total area. Now let us see the fourth case when the neutral axis lies outside the flange and there is this condition. In this case, we have to follow the procedure same as the case as 3. Now we are going to end this session. Thank you for watching this video.